Lord, look at this shit.
What the heck?
It's also flooding back here from what
On a fateful Friday night, September 5th, 2025, North Texas was gripped by a ferocious storm that unleashed chaos in mere moments. Picture this. A cool front sweeps in from the plains, and what starts as a whisper of wind transforms into a roaring beast. Thunderstorms erupt, tearing through Dallas and its neighboring counties with unrelenting fury. Wow! Can you imagine the sheer power of nature turning a calm evening into a scene straight out of an action movie? This storm didn't just arrive, it announced. By 7:30 p.m., the sky over Dallas turned ominous, a swirling mass of black clouds replacing the calm twilight. Families leaving high school football games were caught off guard as winds howled up to 60 miles per hour, hurling debris across parking lots and sending people scrambling for safety. Think about those families, cheering at a game 1 minute, then running for cover the next. The speed of the storm's arrival was just unreal. In the Metroplex, the storm hit like a freight train. Hurricane-force gusts ripped through Dallas, toppling power lines and snapping trees like twigs. At Dallas Love Field, wind gauges hit 55 miles per hour, causing over an hour of flight delays. DFW International Airport wasn't spared either. Lightning illuminated the sky, triggering a ground stop that left travelers stranded in terminals. Airports are usually bustling with activity, but this storm turned them into ghost towns. Can you picture the chaos of passengers stuck, watching the sky light up like a war zone? Then came the hail, chunks as big as tennis balls pounding rooftops in Denton, shattering car windows, and forcing families to huddle for cover. Streets turned into rivers, flash floods swallowed neighborhoods, and in Sherman, a bridge buckled under the weight of raging waters, isolating entire communities already reeling from the destruction. Hail the size of tennis balls? That's not just weather. That's nature throwing a tantrum. And that bridge collapse in Sherman? It's a stark reminder of how quickly infrastructure can crumble. Power grids collapsed, plunging thousands into darkness. Emergency crews raced against time, overwhelmed by calls for rescues as the storm's wrath continued. This wasn't just a storm. It was a night etched into Texas memory, a brutal lesson in the sky's deadly unpredictability. No power, no warning, just pure chaos. It's humbling to think how fast life can flip upside down, right? By 11 p.m., radar tracked the storms marching east at 25 miles per hour, stretching from Richardson to Hutchins in a relentless line of destruction. Neighborhoods in Dallas, Garland, Irving, Mesquite, and Carrollton went dark as transformers exploded in sparks. In Denton County alone, thousands lost power within the first hour. Sirens blared across the Metroplex as the National Weather Service urged immediate shelter. The scale of this is mind-boggling. Entire cities plunged into darkness in an instant. Those sirens must have been chilling to hear. But while Dallas battled torrential rain and fierce winds, the storm was still gathering strength to the north, over Denton, ready to unleash its most devastating blow. It's like the storm was saving its knockout punch for last. Denton didn't know what was coming, and that suspense is just harrowing. As wild winds whipped through Dallas, causing power outages and chaos, the nearby city of Denton, just a short drive north, was bracing for something far worse. Picture this. A storm so fierce it felt like nature itself was unleashing its fury. On the night of September 4th, rain started pouring, relentless, heavy sheets of water that just wouldn't quit. For over 36 hours, the deluge kept coming, transforming streets into rivers. Can you imagine the sound of that rain, pounding endlessly, turning a quiet night into a nightmare? By the morning of September 5th, more than 7 inches of rain had swamped Denton. Roads became impassable, cars were swept off streets, and water crept into homes, schools, and shops. Entire communities were frozen, trapped by the rising floodwaters. It's hard to fathom the helplessness people must have felt, watching their neighborhoods drown. But the storm wasn't done yet. It was holding its most brutal punch for last. At daybreak, the skies unleashed a terrifying barrage. Hailstones as big as tennis balls, These weren't just chunks of ice. They were like frozen missiles, smashing through roofs, obliterating car windshields, and forcing people to dive for cover. Storefronts shattered into glittering piles of glass, and parked cars looked like they'd been battered in a battle. The noise? Deafening. It was as if the heavens were firing a relentless volley of bullets. You can almost hear it now, that eerie, explosive clatter echoing through the city. Then, in the early hours of September 6th, around 2:30 a.m., the storm hit its peak. A monstrous supercell tore through Denton, packing winds close to 75 miles an hour. Trees that had stood for decades were ripped from the ground, power lines snapped like twigs, and in moments, over 40,000 homes were plunged into darkness. Imagine the chaos. Lightning flashing like a strobe, illuminating families huddled together by candlelight, emergency crews navigating flooded streets, and sirens wailing through the night. It's the kind of scene that sticks with you, a stark reminder of nature's raw power. But the worst was still to come, as tragedy loomed just beyond the horizon. On Highway 77, a ferocious hailstorm tore through, smashing car windshields and sparking chaotic pileups. Picture this: drivers caught in a sudden barrage of ice, their vehicles skidding on slick roads, unable to see through the cracked glass. It was pure pandemonium out there, folks, with rain pouring down, plunging the night into a cold, wet darkness. Can you imagine being stuck in that mess? Nowhere to go, just hoping the storm lets up? In the small town of Sanger, tragedy struck. A 9-year-old kid, just playing in their backyard, got hit by a massive hailstone, leaving them with a serious head injury. It's heartbreaking to think about. Kids should be safe playing outside, but this storm didn't care. It was relentless. You've got to wonder how something as simple as frozen rain can turn so dangerous, so fast. Over in Corinth, the storm claimed a life in the most devastating way. An older driver, just trying to get home, was trapped when a massive oak tree came crashing down on their car. The winds were so fierce, they ripped through everything in their path. It's a stark reminder, isn't it? Nature can be beautiful, but it can also be unforgiving. The chaos didn't stop at the city limits. The North Fork of the Trinity River burst its banks, flooding entire neighborhoods in southern Corinth. Whole communities were cut off, stranded as water swallowed streets and homes. Can you imagine looking out your window and seeing your street turn into a river? It's the kind of thing you see in movies, but this was real life for these folks. Up in Whitesboro, a critical bridge gave way under the storm's relentless pounding, collapsing into the raging waters below. That bridge was a lifeline to nearby hospitals, and its loss slowed down emergency crews trying to reach those in need. It's chilling to think how quickly a storm can isolate people, cutting them off from help when they need it most. Above the flooded streets, rescue helicopters buzzed through the sky, their spotlights cutting through the storm as they plucked families from rooftops. Lightning flashed, lighting up the night like some kind of apocalyptic scene. For the people of Corinth, this wasn't just a storm. It was a disaster that left its mark on every corner of the town, every house, every family who lived through it. You can't help but feel for them, knowing their lives were changed in a single night. Oh man, would you look at this? It's unreal. The water's rising so fast back here, it's like the whole town's turning into a lake. How does something like this even happen? As the sun rose over North Texas, the heartbreaking extent of the devastation came into view. Picture this: entire communities in Denton and nearby counties were completely transformed, barely recognizable. Homes with roofs collapsed, streets swallowed by floodwaters, cars reduced to wreckage, and families forced to flee their homes. It's a scene that hits you right in the gut. Over 5,000 people had to evacuate as rushing waters overwhelmed southern Denton. Can you imagine the chaos? Churches, schools, and community centers stepped up in an instant, turning into makeshift shelters overnight. Families poured in, carrying nothing but the clothes they were wearing, clinging to their kids, their pets, and maybe a few precious belongings they managed to grab before the floods took over. The strength of the human spirit really shone through here. Volunteers worked tirelessly, day and night, to help. Local food banks scrambled to provide hot meals, while nonprofits handed out essentials like bottled water, warm blankets, and flashlights to keep people going. And then there were the rescue teams, heroes in every sense, guiding people to safety, airlifting them from rooftops in military helicopters as dangerous currents raged below. It's the kind of thing you'd see in a movie, but this was real life. But here's where the story takes a turn. Alongside all this courage and community spirit, there was a growing sense of frustration, even anger. A lot of folks felt let down by the system. Apparently, the emergency alerts didn't reach everyone. Storm sirens only went off in some areas, leaving others in the dark. Can you believe that? In 2025, with all our technology, people said they got no warnings on their phones before hailstones, some as big as tennis balls, started smashing through windows and roofs. That's terrifying, right? Imagine being a parent, hearing your kids scream as glass shatters and hail pounds the house, with no heads up to prepare. Social media lit up with raw emotion. People were furious, and honestly, who could blame them? They were asking the big questions. How could a storm this massive sneak up on us? How is it possible that we weren't better prepared? Parents, especially, were vocal, heartbroken over the trauma their kids went through. Those haunting sounds of sirens, breaking glass, and relentless hail echoing through the night. Crews are tirelessly working to bring back power, remove debris, and get vital highways up and running again. The effort is immense. Think of workers out there, day and night, trying to piece things back together after nature's chaos. In Sherman, a critical bridge went down, and engineers are saying it might take months to fix. That's a big deal because it's not just about traffic. It's cutting off access to hospitals and slowing down help to folks in remote areas who need it most. Honestly, it's hard to imagine the frustration for those communities, waiting for a lifeline. Recovery is going to be a long road, years, not months. Rebuilding houses and roads is one thing, and it's no small task. But there's something even tougher: restoring people's trust. Trust in safety measures, in early warning systems that are supposed to protect us, and in the idea that we can stand up to the next big storm. That's the real challenge, and it's heavy. For Texans, this wasn't just another bout of bad weather. It was a gut check, a test of grit, togetherness, and the sheer determination to come back stronger from absolute devastation. You can feel the resilience in the air, can't you? It's like Texas is saying, we've been knocked down, but we're not staying down. In just a matter of days, North Texas faced a relentless onslaught from nature's fury. Picture this: Dallas, a bustling metropolis, lashed by winds so fierce they rivaled a hurricane. Meanwhile, in Denton, darkness swallowed entire neighborhoods as hailstones, some as big as tennis balls, pummeled homes and streets. Over in Gainesville, floodwaters surged, turning roads into rivers. And in Sherman, a bridge crumbled, splitting the town in two. Communities across the region were left reeling, grappling with a storm so ferocious it caught nearly everyone by surprise. Can you imagine the shock of seeing your town transformed overnight? But here's where the story shifts. Amid the devastation, the heart of Texas shone through. First responders worked tirelessly through the night, heroes in the truest sense, braving the chaos to save lives. Volunteers stepped up, handing out food and blankets to those who lost everything. Neighbors became lifelines, pulling each other from rising floodwaters. It's the kind of unity that makes you proud to call Texas home. But it also makes you wonder, is this enough? Can grit and goodwill alone protect us when the next storm hits? Let's talk about the bigger picture. Are Texas cities and towns truly equipped to handle disasters of this magnitude? This storm wasn't just a one-off. It's a wake-up call. With the climate warming and weather patterns growing more unpredictable, are we staring down a future where these extreme events become the norm? It's a sobering thought. Right now, the focus is on rebuilding, picking up the pieces, restoring what was lost. But we can't just rebuild and move on. We have to learn. We have to prepare. Because in Texas, where the skies can be as fierce as the people are tough, survival means more than just weathering the storm. It means being ready for the next one, so fewer lives are at stake. If this video hit home for you, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more updates on extreme weather across the world. We want to hear your take. Is Texas ready for the next big storm? Or are we still playing catch up with Mother Nature? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's keep the conversation going, stay informed, and build a stronger, more resilient future together.